Driving through the night, trying to keep my eyes open. The generator's busted and the AC's broken. I'm talking to the Lord, hope He helps us get there safe. And we made it to the show, now we're singing to the crowd. We're playing encore and they're screaming real loud. Try to get home early, but I know that ain't the case. Yeah, it's another hotel room, sleeping on the floor. I'm hurting in the morning from the night before. Pay my dues, I'm eating, love the road. I'm coming home, baby, leave the porch light on. Breakfast in the morning from 7 to 9, but we just can't seem to wake up in time. We grab a cup of coffee and we're off to hit the road. Now we're running on fumes, no time to kill. We got one more show and it's a shitty doorbell. Breaking my back just to make a couple more. Yeah, it's another hotel room, sleeping on the floor. I'm hurting in the morning from the night before. Pay my dues, I'm eating, love the road. I'm coming home, baby, leave the porch light on. Yeah, it's another hotel room, sleeping on the floor. I'm hurting in the morning from the night before. Pay my dues, I'm eating, love the road. I'm coming home, baby, leave the porch light on. Yeah, it's another hotel room, sleeping on the floor. I'm hurting in the morning from the night before. Pay my dues, I'm eating, love the road. I'm coming home, baby, leave the porch light on.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to know why I'm here today? It's not because I want to give you a pep talk or because I want to make you feel good about yourselves. No, I'm here to tell you the truth.
Hey there. Let's see if we got a sound check. Make sure that, oh, your first live. Thank you so much for coming. I was just going to start if we got the sound. Let's get a sound check first. Make sure my sound's working. And then we will get into discussion. So yeah, Devil's Advocates talk as fast or slow as you like. Well, fast talking is pretty much all I do, like all the time. people will tell me, oh my God, stay off the crack. Anyways, sound is good. Okay. I'm beginning to question, by the way, and I don't know, hey, what's happening, Reds fan? Thank you so much for coming in. I'm beginning to question whether or not these lives are good to do as often as I do. I see that I've got no audience practically at all. And while I love to communicate with people and one-on-one is fantastic, you got to feel like you're not part of something very good if we're sitting here under 10 people and I just got out of a show with 1,000 people in it. So we're doing something wrong on this channel with the lives, and I haven't figured out what it is yet. Long form content's doing good, the videos are doing good, the channel's growing strong, but the lives are completely dead. So I don't know what to do with that, and maybe we need to cut back on lives. Let me know how you feel about that. In the meantime, however, this is a nice slow pace. I don't have anything on tap in particular tonight. If you have been watching my channel, you'll know that I put out 9 hours of long form video in the last couple of days. That's a effing lot of videos. So I've been working my ass off on doing that kind of stuff. So I don't have a whole lot to present for new stuff tonight. In fact, I'm just going to take questions and answers tonight. I don't know if you heard about the shooting in New York today. That's a new thing that just happened. I don't know if there's other news that we're missing today, but there is I believe, well, I don't even want to say how many deaths there were because I know that somebody survived. I think there was another death. Officers were shot. This is an ongoing thing, news story that's been breaking, and we've been talking about it on the Discord channel, but I don't want to get the details wrong. So our thoughts were with those who lost their lives. I think there was at least a couple of fatalities, I think. And so that is, and I don't even understand what exactly happened in that case. Some people have, well, I don't even want to go there. Let's just leave it at that. So look in the story if you haven't already. So it is wide open for tonight. Again, we may wrap this up soon if we don't have a lot going on. There's a thunderstorm, by the way, that's blowing overhead. And so that thunderstorm may kick out the power and we may go short anyways, even if we wanted to. So for your first live, by the way, I feel bad for the person who's coming into their first live, and we have a very small, like, intimate circle and nothing really planned for the night. By the way, let me tell you a few things before we forget, in case this doesn't go very far tonight. Tomorrow night, Birdie Bombshells and I, by the way, Birdie's show is still going, I think, on his channel. Tomorrow night, Birdie Bombshells and I will be doing a live together. We normally do that tonight, but I got kind of bumped, and it's okay. It's okay that I got bumped. He's having Scott Payne on his thing. I think Scott Payne was an undercover FBI agent, and so they're talking about a lot of stuff. Obviously, the true crime community wants to be all part of that, so that show is hopping 1,000 people over there, nobody here, and that's okay. But tomorrow, on our normally scheduled time when Birdie Bombshells and I normally go live, we're going to have Ali Benevento, criminal defense attorney of 15 years. She's going to join us, and we're going to talk about Bryan Kohberger's sentencing and things related to sentencing, because a lot of people out there have questions about the sentencing phase, whether or not Bryan Kohberger, if that was even a remote possibility, could appeal still in that, what is it now, 35-day window left or 40-day window that's left. I think it's more like 35 days. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about plea deals in general. We'll talk about people who take plea deals that aren't necessarily guilty, and we'll talk about whether or not what Ali's feelings are on those. So Ali Benevento, I know a lot of you really love it when Ali Benevento is on. I love it when Ali Benevento is on. Again, for those who don't know, Ali has kind of befriended me, and I've befriended her, and so we stay in touch pretty regularly. There are going to be things coming up with Ali and I on my show. So for those who do like seeing Ali, and most of you do, there should be more. I feel bad, by the way, and this is one of the things that I get. I'm suffering from little guy syndrome, right? Which is that I have big names coming to join me. I've had Cynthia Thornton, a major attorney in New York and Texas. I've had Ali Benevento, a major criminal defense attorney from South Carolina, who's been on some enormous cases. Those are some big names. I have a major attorney going on with me soon, and a really big attorney who coming on through soon that I haven't told you about. I've got, really big names. I've got people who are coming on the show, and I feel horrible for them that they get nobody showing up for the thing. So I'm going to do some things differently, which is that I'm not going to have my next big attorney kind of interview. I'm not going to do it live because it'll get in my head feeling bad for them, because that's what I do. I feel bad for them. I mean, if they think they're getting exposure to the public, they're not getting it on my live. They're probably going to have to go to somebody else's show to get good exposure, and I feel bad. However, on the positive side, I've made some some inroads with people who like me, right? They just like me personally and they want to do the show with me, even if I don't have the audience to support it. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to do this as a pre-recorded live, so I can get out of my head of nobody's watching this, and I'm going to pretend like thousands of people are going to watch that live, and then I'll air it. And I'm trying to decide exactly how this works. It might be, I think I can play a pre-recorded live that, and I do talk really fast, don't I? Spicy chicken nuggets. Anyways, yeah, so I think I'll do a pre-recorded live in which when it plays, I'll be in the room monitoring the chat and I can answer questions from the chat, but that way I can get out of my head of who's not there or who is there. And so that's going to be, again, a big interview coming up in a few weeks. I will tell you more about that interview as we approach, but I've got confirmation that interview is going to happen, and I think you're really going to like it. Now, it's not, I will tell you, it's not Idaho 4 related, and I will tell you it's not Luigi Mangione related. It is related to the Long Island serial killer case. I'll give you that hint. And I know a lot of people aren't watching as much on the Long Island serial killer case. Now, here's the problem I have as I talk a million miles an hour and never take a breath and never have a stream of consciousness that stops, just constantly going. But here's the thing. I've got documents. I've got 167. I got 167 more documents to review of the Idaho 4 document dump by the Moscow Police Department. While I'm getting those done, and each one of those packages of 50 videos has been taking me about 3 to 4 hours to record. That's a lot of time. I know damn well what's going to happen next is they're going to have more unsealed, ungagged documents, and it's never going to end. Somehow, I need to start building attention for the Long Island serial killer case because, again, we have a really good interview coming up that you're not going to want to miss. And if I spend all my time 100% on Brian Koberger, I'm not going to be prepping you for the interview that you really should be prepped for because it's going to be a good one. And I want to make sure you're prepared for why that's going to be good. So I'm going to be showing those in the future. All right, I'm taking a look at some of the comments we have here. Some spicy chicken nuggets. I love that. I love it. I hate slow speakers. That's strong, but I prefer a fast talker, to be honest, and I'm that way. So yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, there are some fantastic researchers out there. And some people have a hard time listening to them because they're a little slow in their delivery. It's like, oh my gosh, you have fantastic stuff. Can you get on with it? I'm the opposite. I don't have the strongest research, but I'll get it to you in a quick manner and with a little bit of humor and a little bit of spice, I think, and a little bit of hot sauce. But anyways, other than that, not hot because I'm hot, but just hot sauce. You know what I'm saying? So the point being is that I do have a unique delivery and you either like my stuff or you don't. So thank you so much. Jessica's, hey, DA, welcome. Hi, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Let me see what else we got. Someone says, I love it when people say they got me on 1.5 speed. I mean, how fast do you process things? If you can process me at 1.5 speed, I had actually somebody tell me they had me at 2 times speed, and I can't even imagine that. All right, what else do we got? What are your thoughts about Dylan finally admitting she heard Kaylee scream? Well, here's the thing, Kimberly. Here's the thing. Dylan didn't really admit that she heard Kaylee scream, as in like coming out publicly, right? Because this was an interview that's been in the bag for years. She admitted early on she heard Kaylee scream. We've just been lied to and misled about her not hearing anything for 2.5 years. So she's not admitting anything new. I would imagine that she's a little embarrassed that people are now reading that she heard Kaylee screaming that night. So it's a difficult thing. Now, I want to be careful. I want to make sure you understand, and I think you all do understand. I don't want to victim shame anyone. So that's not what I'm trying to do, victim shame Dylan. But yes, I said from the very beginning, and I've said it over and over again, and I'll beat that dead horse just a little bit more right now. I've said from the beginning, there's no effing way she didn't hear things. You can't tell me she hears something like, it's okay, I'm here to help you, but she doesn't hear people screaming as they're being attacked. Now we find out from the police reports that are being unsealed that yes, indeed, she did hear screaming. And in fact, wasn't one of the words that we heard her say to Emily when she called Emily and Hunter to come over after 8 hours was something to the effect, and I can't remember the wording, and I hope I don't get it wrong, was something to the effect of she didn't want to deal with what happened. She didn't want to deal with what happened. So again, I maintained from the very beginning, she knew damn well what happened to that house. It's a lie to say that she didn't know. And yet now comes everybody saying, well, of course she knew, but what do you expect? She's young, she's scared, she's afraid. I would be the same way. Therefore, again, you're a piece of shit. Even if you're pointing out that everything you said for 2.5 years was correct, she knew what happened in that house. That seems clear. Again, maybe not exactly all the details, but enough. She knew. And I think that's clear, in my opinion. All right. Good evening, Ray Annette. Good evening for saying hi to the room. Thank you so much. Why did Steve defend Dylan and Bethany? Why did Steve defend? USA Kiwi, here's the thing with Steve Goncalves. Here's the thing. I think in the early stages of the investigation, Steve Goncalves was not trusting law enforcement, and he was trying to do his own research, and he was going to talk to everybody, and he was going to investigate everybody. He made Jack DeCoeur show that he didn't have wounds on his body because he didn't trust law enforcement saying, hey, Jack's been cleared. Steve Goncalves didn't in the early stages trust. Something changed along the way. I think what happened, in my opinion, is somebody developed a very strong personal relationship with him that he trusted. And that trusted person said, look, chill a little bit. We got this. Just let us do our job. And so he calmed down a little bit and trusted them. I think there's an indication that as the plea deal happened and there was no trial going to happen, that part of Steve's anger, in my opinion, part of Steve's anger is that all the stuff they said about trust us, we've got this, you'll find out everything. And then you find out that we won't find out anything because, well, there's no trial. So we won't find out things and it'll still be gagged. That pissed him off. I think he was misled. I think he got good. I would be the same way. I trust people too much. So if I trusted you and I looked you in the eyes and you're like, trust me, man, we got this, relax. I would probably relax because I trust people. So he probably trusted somebody who told him, relax, dude, we got this. Wait till you see what happens. And so that's what he did. He would go on every TV station and go, hey, wait till you guys see what happens. There's big shockers coming, because he's being told that from the inside. And now I think he's stuck in a really bad situation. So let's see. Oh, I meant after I went on a gigantic rant. You mean after he knew they weren't sleeping because he saw their phone records? Yeah, I don't know. I think again, Steve Goncalves wanted to talk to Bethany about what she saw and what she heard that night, and the federal government told him to leave it alone. She's a protected eyewitness, and so he wasn't allowed to talk to her. But I think he wanted to, but I don't think he was allowed to. And then what are you left with? I can't talk to her, so I just gotta let it go or make up shit. What else? I'm just looking for some comments. Sorry that I'm like, I hate dead air. I'm sitting here looking at comments and I got dead air. So what about the document showing Jack Showalter went home for the week before break, but then called about some plumbing issues in the apartment? Very odd. So Woon, I have a theory about that, and I can't prove it. And again, I only read 151 documents out of 317 that were dropped by the police department. But this is something I think law enforcement has done, and maybe you can shed light on this. This is, and again, I'm not trying to besmirch law enforcement. I think this happened in the Brian Landry, in the Gabby Petito thing as well. Sometimes law enforcement finds a way to get into somebody's house without a search warrant, such as, let's say you've got a maintenance worker for the apartment complex. If that maintenance worker were to say, gee, I've got to check on a water problem, that maintenance worker can go into the house without a warrant because it's his job to report on a water problem. Now, if that maintenance worker is willing to say, I was called for that, and take the risk that somebody might fact check him and like, nobody called you for a water problem. I'm not sure Jack called in for a water problem. I suspect law enforcement wanted to peek inside the house, and they managed to be able to talk a maintenance worker who's sympathetic to the case to say, you know what, I might have to check on a plumbing issue in that apartment, and then said, here's what you got. It's worth getting a warrant for. But that's if you think that kind of stuff could happen. It's a little on the edges of legality, perhaps. But again, I think the same kind of thing happened with Landry, where somebody called up anonymously to the police station. Hey, I think something might be wrong. Somebody might be hurt inside that house, which gives them probable cause to go in if somebody's hurt. And I think the phone call itself could have been placed from somebody that's friendly to law enforcement. Like, hey, call in an anonymous tip that you think somebody's life is in danger, and that gives us probable cause to do welfare check, and we can kind of bypass some rules. So does that happen in law enforcement from time to time? I imagine it does, but I don't know. That was my guess. When I read the maintenance worker thing had a pipe to repair, I thought, oh yeah, That's a great way to get in without having to have a warrant. Somebody who has reason to be there, i.e. a maintenance worker who has all the keys to the buildings, who can get in and get you access. Let's see. There was rumors, by the way, that Jack Showalter left the country right after the murders. But I feel like that was dispelled, but I don't know that the police documents that I'm breaking down said that. Has the police documents said Jack Showalter was for sure still in town, or did he leave the country? Because there was a lot of people who said he went to South Africa for like 2 weeks right after the murders and was just gone. And so is that true? Have we confirmed that? Somebody says, "What? So is it 94 blood spots or 4 in Showalter's apartment?" From what I understand, and I haven't read this yet, from what I understand, a later document in that huge document dump. Remember, I've only read 1 through 101, but another document comes out later that says, "Oops, that was some kind of clerical error or mistake. It wasn't 94 blood spots; it was 4. That was a clerical error. It was a mistake." So where do you go with that? If you're a conspiracy theorist by nature, you say it's revision by officers who are revising the document so that it looks like it's a lot less important than it was. It wasn't 94. That was a typo. There shouldn't have been a 9. It's actually only 4. A lot less things to worry about. So it could be a revision if you believe that anybody would do anything unsavory or modify documents. Now, the thing is that's great about the case is that they didn't alter the original document, right? 94 is in the original document, and that sticks. Now, you can later write another police report and say, hey, by the way, we noted in this police report on this day, there was a clerical error, and so let me correct it. It's now 4. We will at least see that it was at 1.94. So that's great. That's in there. So if it did get reported that it's a clerical error and it was 4 instead of 94, then again, you either believe that's exactly what it is. It was a mistake. Nobody meant to type 94. It wasn't 94. It was just 4. And you believe that's true because they told you so, or you're a suspicious kind of person and say, did you revise it down to 4? And say, how can we, like, everybody's going to shit bricks when they see there's 94. What if we said, we just drop the 9 and say it was 4? Like, we can't say there's none. We're not going to back out of that. But let's say there was a typo. And if we can get rid of 90 cases of blood, maybe that will make it easier. But I don't know that kind of shit happens. You tell me. All right. Ray says, I have another theory now, but I'm afraid to put it on here. Dude, do you realize how nerve-wracking it is sometimes for me to tell you my theories? Because I get kicked in the freaking proverbial nuts and called what a disgusting loser piece of shit I am for still talking about this case. I get it. So if you want to take a risk, you can. If you want to share it privately, you can share it privately to me. I get it. I'm in your boat. I just apparently am going to just take it from time to time. So anyways, what are the chances of a new trial? Slim. I'm not going to say slim to none, but I'm going to say slim. Yes, we are during an appeal window, regardless of the plea deal that included no right to an appeal. There, you can't waive. The Supreme Court said you can't waive your right to appeal for like the first 40-something days. He's got another 30 days or whatever to appeal, despite signing a piece of paper that says he will not appeal, or that he agrees that he did it without appeal. So there is an appeal option on the table. Again, another option that I pointed out is if some kind of evidence comes forward that says Bryan Kohberger could not have done the very thing he confessed to doing, or he pled to doing. Again, nuance. Did he confess or did he plead guilty? There's a slight difference, but anyways, if anything comes out to prove he could not have done it because he's seen, for example, on camera somewhere else at the time they said he did it, then that would be a whole new trial. Not for him, because that would just be like, you didn't do it. We can prove you didn't do it. See you later. And I'm oversimplifying it. The point being is that, yeah, there are a couple of avenues for another trial. I personally don't think it's going to another trial. But if it is, as I say, game on, because I will be all over that stuff and be like, see, I told you it wasn't as cut and dry as some of you are saying. And it's difficult. I've got friends, my wife's got friends that tell us Well, yeah, I knew from day one the guy was guilty. He's completely a psycho. You can tell by looking at him. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I get it. I get why you think that. The media's been telling you that from day one, so you believe it, and that's okay. Let's go. Let's see what we got. I see. I'm trying to avoid the dead air as I'm trying to read. I wish my mods, I got mods in here, and I wish my mods and I could work in a way. I don't know how the mods can pin a comment, because again, it would be easier for me to deal with the comments if they pinned my good comments, but I don't know how we do that. We still haven't figured that out because of my StreamYard thing. Maybe I'll just find some more time. That's all. I'll just find some more time in the 9 hours of schedule that I'm already recording to find out how to make that happen. Yeah, so somebody's theorized, I think the maintenance worker was called for another apartment and they checked more than one. And why wouldn't that work as well? Hey, there's a water leak. It could be damaging units, plural. I need to find where this leak is coming from. So therefore, the resident of this apartment doesn't even have to give me consent. If I'm tracking down a water leak that's doing damage to our apartments, I could access that apartment and say, hey, I had to come in on an emergency basis. Sorry about that, but there's a water leak and we could have been leaking water and you could have been the place. So I don't know. The police report doesn't make it sound like that was the scenario, but that would be another scenario in which I think you could skirt around the legality of not having a warrant to get into the house. Because again, it would be the maintenance worker going in there, not the officers. And again, no report could be made by the officers on something they weren't allowed to access. But what could happen is somebody could go in there and say, hey, I saw like a 1 inch by something swath of blood on a shower curtain inside this room. You might want to get a warrant. Now, here's the problem with that. The officer probably is going to have a hard time getting a warrant by how do you know that there was something inside an apartment that you wouldn't see? Well, you do that by saying, I noticed it on the door outside of the apartment. Therefore, I need a warrant to get inside and see what else is there, because I know there is blood there. But if I can say, I suspect that there's blood in the house because the doorknob's been wiped off and there's blood on the door. So I have a strong feeling there might be blood in the house. And that's how you get that to work out. All right. Pavarotti had an interesting video showing the undercover tour of Idaho cops from the night of the 2nd to the 13th, basically showing Molly was completely lying. I believe Molly was completely lying 100%. And again, that was, I think, one of the prosecution's last-ditch star witnesses. They, as Bill Thompson said, and here we are talking all Idaho 4. By the way, I do cover other cases, and so if we want to talk other cases, we can. But Bill Thompson said, we can't place Brian Kohberger in the house. Molly McMichaels, I believe, was how they were going to place Brian Kohberger in the house. I saw him walk into the house, was what their plan was. But that went to shit because she had no credibility. Thank you, by the way. It looks like... Jeremy, you're gifting memberships to some people, so thank you so much for gifting a membership. Hopefully, by the way, if you guys have it turned on your account that you're allowed to receive gift memberships, every once in a while, it's been a common thing now more and more that members will come in here and just gift a membership to you so you can get some behind-the-scenes member-only content. And so thank you so much for Jeremy for supporting the show like that. Somebody got a free ride for a month, and that's fantastic for you. It's fantastic for me. It's a good thing for everybody. So we're growing a thing here. Hopefully, this channel will continue to grow and we won't get kicked off of YouTube because we're really skirting the fine line of what we're allowed to talk about. Why didn't it come up with what Maddie told Adam? $1 million question. What did you tell Adam? I told him everything. What does that exactly mean? Dan Smith, can you see me? I do see you, Dan Smith. Did you say something earlier that I missed? Do you know that was his apartment? Do I know that it was his apartment? If you're talking about Showalter's apartment, I don't know for sure. I believe that even the document was redacted. It was JS with the length of Showalter, and it sounded like to me that everybody agreed that was Showalter. But again, everything's redacted. Could there be another JS? Sure. But I think that's what we universally believe that was the case. What is your take on the Omerta angle? And they were never going to let Kaylee just leave. I I wondered if in the police documents, when there was a mention of a drug cartel and an individual, it said by the name of O something. And my first thought was, after hearing the Omerta stuff, is O Omerta? But as far as I understand, Omerta is like the name of a concept, not a person's name, or a drug cartel's name. I don't know that that's a name. Is it? Was it a name of a drug cartel, or was it just a concept, Omerta, which is basically keeping your mouth effing shut when it comes to what you know? And so people get silenced through, as we watched a lot of us watched that long form video about Omerta, where if somebody talks, not only they, but everybody in their family gets killed, as a lesson to you don't talk about things. So did that happen in this case? It certainly seems likely that house could have been wiped out as a lesson to somebody to keep their mouth shut. What else? Yeah, originally there was some confusion in the police reports that said that Kaylee, so the officer that reported and wrote the report said that Dylan told him that Kaylee was on the second floor with Ethan and Xana was upstairs. And that's how the officer wrote it up. And he even said Dylan told him that. The $1 million question becomes, did he get it wrong? Did Dylan get it wrong? Who got it wrong? They did correct it later on. That even says we later found out that that was not the case. It was Kaylee upstairs and Xana down on the second floor. So they corrected it. But the $1 million question is, did the officer just? I mean, keep in mind, people. One thing I want to say about being fair with the facts. Keep in mind, for us, we've been hearing all of these names for nearly 3 years. For the officers responding on scene, they may not have heard any of these girls' names. It's all brand new to them, and they got to keep all these names in their head being thrown at them at 1,000,000 miles an hour by multiple witnesses. Oh, blah 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 blah. And it's not second nature to them. It's second nature to us. We in retrospect, it's hard for us to see how anybody could miss anything because we've been living with these names for so long. But you can imagine that the officers on the scene are hearing the names for the very, very first time. So they could have mixed it up, or Dylan could have mixed it up. Because remember, I'm sorry, if you were here for something other than Idaho 4, you're severely disappointed. I get it. Anyways, Dylan indicated that she thought she heard at one point in one of the reports, Dylan said she heard Kaylee scream and then run up the stairs. So did Dylan think for a moment that Kaylee was on the second floor and died on the second floor? Now, the problem with that is that she later says she sees Xana laying on the floor in the bedroom. So she knows that's not Kaylee. So there's just a million questions. Again, the more that they unseal, the more questions we get to have. All right. Thank you for the super sticker, Sarah. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate that so much for supporting the channel. It means a lot to me. Every little dime means a lot. It helps me keep this going and keeps the wife off my case, saying, you know what, you need to kind of go back and get a real job. Oh my God, that real job thing. You realize I work so much. I work so many more hours than I did at my real job. Oh my God. Anyways, point being, thank you for that. It helps keep the wife aggro. I keep the wife aggro off by having a little bit of money coming in so that she can get like, oh, okay, I see potential. Someday if you get to be a big star, maybe you can pay some bills. Let's see. I'm looking through the comments. I believe the girls' faces and organs were targeted, which is why I believe a female was involved. I think I get your logic. Maybe I get your logic. Let's say, for example, and maybe this is not where you're going, but let's get your logic. Maybe it was a girl who was jealous of pretty girls and so wanted to make them ugly, right? That would be especially let's say if one of those girls had bullied another girl and said, you're not cool, you're not one of the cool kids, you're ugly, you're never going to have a boyfriend, and they're like, well, fuck you, I'm going to make you ugly, I'm going to mutilate your face. That could be a logical conclusion. Another thing can be is that it shows to me a crime of passion. Somebody really had it out for somebody that they took time to do that to. And if it's a crime of passion, then one has to go back again, why that person and why Koberger, if that's the crime of passion that was done. Jeremy Pearson, you're putting out great content lately. Glad I caught a live tonight. Always appreciate your take, DA. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's funny that you mentioned great content lately, because one of the things that happened is when I started doing the deep dives, my first thing I said to my wife is, no one is going to sit around and listen to me talk for 9 hours about the first 100. I mean, like every time 50 documents I review, it takes me 3 hours to do it. No one's going to listen to this. I was wrong. People are listening and people are appreciating it, and I thank you for doing that. I was almost going to go with my gut and be like, this is a waste. No one's going to listen to that much time of stuff, and I was wrong. So we're good. All right. I'm still looking through comments here. Let's see. My mom looks at me crazy when I tell her I have questions. How can you have any questions? We know what happened. Oh my gosh. I get that all the time. I mean, like, and you can't, I don't know what to say. I mean, there's just, and I get it. A lot of people, things are just simple. They don't have deep questions about it. It seems obvious. It's cut and dry, especially once you have a guilty plea. What's there to talk about? It's done, you know? All right. Male imp, Dina Sites. Hello, DA and chat. Male imp, female imp, he devil, she devil. Yeah, thank you. Those are names, by the way, the he devils, the she devils, the imps, those things. Those are kind of like our membership programs. We get a lot of members and mods in the room. Very, very cool. Let's see. Who else we got here? Thank you, by the way, Dan Smith, for the gift. Appreciate it very much. Is that Jack S's apartment? How do you all know that? Well, again, one, a lot of us have followed the case for a long time. We know the names. So even when it's redacted, you can tell by the length of the name of that going. Internet sleuths have told us where Jack lived, and that seems to match up. We know Jack Showalter was there that night. We've seen him on camera. There's a lot of things that lead us to knowing that that's very likely the case. But yes, can you definitively 100% say when a document is redacted who the JS is? No, you can't definitively say. But I think that internet sleuths have very, very, very compelling reasons to believe that it's him, and I have no reason to believe it's anybody else. Now, if anybody shows me differently and say, by the way, you're an idiot, it's so-and-so, it never was Jack Showalter, then I will like look at that information and we'll correct it. But I think a lot of people have a lot of good reasons to believe that that was. And I don't know that he was living there or not. So that's the other question. Right. Somebody, I'm trying to find. Yeah, it said you can't pin comments. We can pin comments normally when I'm doing it just on YouTube, but apparently on. And I remembered somebody told me, "Oh, I'm going to send you screenshots of comments." I'll figure something out. I'm not doing so good at it, but I'll figure something out. What else do we got? Here we go. Here's something from the Long Island serial killer case. It looks like. How do you feel about Rex's family going on vacation? And it seems Rex always stayed behind. Very suspicious. Well, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. While I 100% support on this channel the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law, therefore, I don't want to say Rex is for sure the Long Island serial killer. My biggest question on Rex, though, is if he did do these things, which it looks pretty bad, as in a lot of these cases look bad for your person. It looked bad for Brian Koberger as well. As in a lot of these cases, the question becomes, are they all his? Are all the murders that they're attributing to Rex Heuermann really his? Are we going to accept Rex Heuermann being accredited with killing somebody he didn't, which means that the real killer no longer is going to be looked for because they've given up and they're like, that's Rex's, let's call it good. The other question about whether or not the family knew things, whether Victoria knew things, whether Asa knew stuff, I will tell you this. Those are some questions we're going to talk about when I have a special guest on, is whether or not the family knew. What evidence is there that the family knew what was going on? Did the family actually know that there was killings going on in the house, or that their father or husband was a serial killer killing women? Is that possible that that was going on under their nose? Or if, as some people are saying, he's been doing this for 30 years. If that's true, he's been doing it, one, and that he's been doing it for 30 years, two. How did the family not have any clue after 30 years? What kind of scenario can we buy that the family wouldn't start to pick up on things? So those are some questions we're going to ask as we move forward, and I'm glad that there's some interest in that. That case is going to be enormous next year. I feel like that case is going to be enormous next year. What else? We have a brand new case in my hometown. A couple was hiking at Devil's Den State Park this weekend and was stabbed to death. The sus is still at large. Why does Devil's Den State Park sound familiar? What state is that? That sounds super familiar. Is that anywhere near me? Anyways, Kimberly Loud. I do have on my Discord channel, by the way, a place for recommended cases. So if there's some interesting cases you think that might be worthy of my style, and I don't know if you know my style, but I tend to focus on high-profile cases where the media is not giving the person the presumption of innocence, where there's some questions. And I also focus on mainstream media, how they shape the narrative and convict somebody in a court of public opinion before they even stepped into the courtroom. I'm critical of law enforcement and critical of the judicial system. And I watch those things to make sure that we're upholding people's civil liberties and civil rights and making sure that we're not breaking the law to get the criminal put away. Because if you have to break the law to put the criminal away, then we shouldn't have laws in the first place. We need to get the bad guys. We need to get them right, not by violating civil liberties, which is a danger to the entire country, in my opinion. All right, what else do we have? Speaking of the other cases, did you see the active shooter in New York City? Kind of looks like Luigi from a distance. We did see that. Well, on the Discord channel, we've been talking about the active shooter in New York. It's over, I believe. I believe the shooter shot himself. I think that was reported that he shot himself. I think that's over. I did see a picture of the individual of what I believe is the individual. But I still haven't had time because I went live before we got resolution on that. If we know for sure what the motive was, if we know the total death count, whether their people are still in critical condition, what that kind of situation is. So those are early things I haven't really sussed out entirely. I will say this. Somebody asked me the question, and if you watch the case that I follow of Luigi Mangione, and I had a video called, "Is Luigi Mangione simply player 2? Meaning, is there another person who's the shooter and Luigi isn't the shooter?" And so some people said, here we are, player 1 is up. And I'm like, this doesn't feel like a Luigi type of situation. That shooting is nothing like it. Keep in mind the differences between this shooting and the Luigi Mangione shooting of Brian Thompson, oh my God, if Luigi Mangione did it. Because again, he has the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. He's only of the alleged shooter. But let's talk about the differences. That shooter shot one person, Brian Thompson, in a very targeted attack. This individual who went into this building apparently shot random people, maybe shot a couple of cops, it sounds like, shot maybe 6 people. It is nothing in my opinion, the shooting in downtown Manhattan of Brian Thompson, which was a very targeted one individual type of situation, and then the shooter left. So I think there's no comparison to the two types of shootings, and I don't suspect in my mind that shooting is any way at all related to Luigi Mangione, although I won't put it past mainstream media to try to make the connection to demonize Luigi Mangione and further their goal of putting Luigi Mangione away or putting him to death in that case, because I wouldn't put it past them to plant in the public's eye, is this another Luigi Mangione clone? It's not a clone because there's nothing like the two shootings. And that's if you believe that Luigi Mangione actually did the shooting. Anyways. I'm looking for good comments here it's not that there aren't good comments. I'm looking for comments that I feel like I have strong feelings about. I don't know about this comment. And when I say I don't know, I'm not saying I disbelieve you. What I'm saying is I don't know where this one comes from. I haven't seen it yet. The lead investigator in Idaho 4 case said in his interview that he was in disbelief when the FBI gave him BK's name. I took that to imply that he didn't believe BK did the crime. Thoughts? I didn't hear that. And first of all, I want to know who they tap as the lead investigator. Did they tap Corporal Payne, Brett Payne, as the lead investigator? And is he the one that said he was in disbelief when they said BK? I think this I think law enforcement, it's clear to me in the 150 documents that I've read so far that law enforcement had their eyes on other people and suspected other people until the FBI came and said, by the way, it's Brian Koberger. You really should look there. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, as I like to say, because it was a tip. They didn't want to have to explain how they knew it was BK. It was like, hey, here's a tip. And the reason why I think they didn't want to admit how they knew it was BK is because I think they had to violate some constitutional rights to do so. And they don't want that to come out in court, which is, by the way, also why I think we don't have a trial, because they don't want to have to explain to the American public how they knew it was BK or how they arrived to the conclusion that it was BK. And what happened was when the FBI nudge, nudge, wink, wink about BK, they literally said, and I can't remember what document it was, they literally said, it was our hope that then Moscow PD would do the real police work and prove what we told them is true. We're going to give you a hint. Now go do the police work and prove it. Here's the problem. They literally said in the last press conference after his sentencing, we really wanted to prove that it was Brian Koberger. We wanted to put him in the house. We wanted to prove that he had a connection. We wanted to know that he had some kind of connection to Maddie and that he'd been to Mad Greek. We couldn't prove any of those things, but we really wanted to. We were given the name and we really wanted to prove it. By the way, it looks like I had a gift that I didn't acknowledge. Did I have a gift that I didn't acknowledge? Oh my gosh, I did. Oh my gosh. Woon, I can't even pin that son of a bitch. I feel bad when people gift me and I don't take a moment to really express my deep thanks. It looks like I got another gift from Moon. Thank you so much. And I can't seem to find your comment, but I can read it. It's hard to explain. I can't pin it. Your channel's doing great. Keep up the good fight for all the due process rights. Never stop in the investigation rants. I'd love to purchase a Zip-Up hoodie. Oh yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate that very much. It's funny because I'm such a small channel, it feels embarrassing to talk about merch, but I'm going to CrimeCon. By the way, I've only got like 14 minutes left in this show. I'm going to CrimeCon 2025 in Aurora, Colorado. By the way, how weird is this? I'm going to side rant for a minute. I realize you probably still have questions about the Idaho 4, but I want to side rant for a moment about Aurora, Colorado. When I first started thinking about being, and here's that comment from Moon. Thank you. I did find it. When I first started really kind of thinking about being a true crimer, it was back in the days of blogging. I wasn't doing video and I wasn't doing anything. I'm not video friendly. Look at me. I'm not video friendly. I'm an old guy. Like, who's going to listen to an old guy? But I was doing blogging because I love to write. And my first case that I ever started to write about was James Holmes, the alleged shooter in Aurora, Colorado, at the Century 16 theaters in Aurora, Colorado, at the premiere of The Dark Knight Rises. Holy shit, that story blows my mind to this day. I've got a book nearly written about that case, stuff that you wouldn't believe. And yet here it is now. I'm going to go to Aurora, Colorado. I've never been to Aurora, Colorado. And I signed up for CrimeCon because it said CrimeCon Denver, right? And when I saw CrimeCon Denver, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll be close to Aurora, Colorado, because I know that it's very close to Denver. And then I found out, no, the actual location of the event isn't Denver, it's Aurora. They just used Denver because Denver's the bigger city, and people were like, where the hell's Aurora? So yeah, I'm literally going to Aurora, Colorado. It's such a weird experience. But anyways, where that ties into the hoodie thing is that I wanted to wear some merchandise of my own to advertise my channel, so that when I'm there, maybe somebody would be like, hey, it's Devil's Advocate. Maybe. I'm not big enough to get recognized on the street, but I wanted to be able to have somebody have a chance, especially if I'm going to tell people like now, hey, if you're in Aurora, Colorado, or if you're going to the CrimeCon, please look me up. I'll be wearing a black hoodie that has Devil's Advocates on it. And because I had to make that, I also made extras, and I'm selling those now for merchandise. Now I haven't put the store up all the way, but I'm taking some pre-orders because I have to make a commitment to sizes very soon. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And again, I know it sounds presumptuous, and I'm a new channel and it sounds a little arrogant, and I get it. Super sticker from KS Jessen Art. Thank you so much. Often supporter, regular supporter. Thank you for the gift. Appreciate that a ton. Hey, I'm part of the replay crew. Looking forward to the guests related to Lisk. I can't wait for that. Thank you. That's very, very much. Yeah, I'm so excited for our guest. I'm tickled pink. I can't wait to be able to start telling you exactly. What else? The Watts case. We don't. Aurora, was you real? What does that mean? Aurora, was you real? I'll have to parse that out of it. Batman Theater. Yeah, at the time it was nicknamed the Batman shooting. In fact, I was going to do a book called The Batman Conspiracy. why, and I could get into the conspiracy, but nobody gives a shit about Aurora, Colorado anymore, so I won't explain it. But I have a book that I was going to call The Batman Conspiracy, and I was going to talk about the weirdness of that case. Weirder than you think, I bet. Weirder than you think. So what else do we got? Yeah, I see. By the way, I did see somebody said women's medium. I have real quick about the merchandise. I'll try to be quick because I don't want to make this a big sales pitch. I'm going to have a black hoodie. I think I'm going to have a black zip-up hoodie, and I'm going to have a T-shirt for men or a T-shirt for women that I can order. So the design that I've got is allowed to go into those type of things, and I have a 25-piece minimum. So I have to at least order 25 pieces. So what I'm trying to do is I'm gonna, if nobody commits to anything and wants to commit, I'm just gonna go with the standard sizes and get a couple of smalls, a couple of larges, a bunch of extra larges, and whatever, and kind of take my best guess. But if you want to kind of lick one and say, hey, I'm probably gonna buy one, you don't have to commit. But if you're gonna lick one and say, I want one of those, I'll make sure that one of those prints is in your size and give you a crack at it. And if you end up not doing it, or you decide you don't want to do it, I'll just put it on my store for sale later on. So I'm willing to take that risk. But I need to somehow collect those things, and I'm not doing good here. Unless one of my mods, if one of my mods is willing to see if anybody's actually saying that they're interested, give me names that you can send me in a text message. I got a couple of mods who have my text number, and they can text me like some sizes that I should make sure to have on hand and who was interested, so I can give you a chance to have licked your own version if you want one. Did you guys see it, by the way? Did you guys see it? Hold on. I'm going to share an image file, I think. I said I wasn't going to talk about this for a long time, but I want to show it to you because I just realized I can. And how come it's not showing? Because I have to remove that. Okay, I'm going to add that. There it is. That's what my jersey is going to, or my hoodie is going to look like. It's kind of sharp. I like it. So if you want to get one of those, by the way, then grab one of those. What else do we have for comments and questions? I got recognized at the trial. I certainly did, Kimberly. I got recognized at the trial. It's local, so it wasn't as surprising. And I did tell people that I was going to be there in person. But yeah, I was pretty. It was weird. I was at the change of plea deal, right? I was at the change of plea deal, and nobody knew who I was. I go back. It seems like weeks later for the sentencing, and I'm like, hey, are you DA? And I'm like, yeah, you know who I'm at? I'm like, yeah, I watch your show. And then somebody else says, oh, you made it. I can't believe you made it. I watch your show. And I'm like, really? And then somebody else is standing in line. They were a YouTuber. And the person's like, hey, you know, you're standing next to DA. And they're like, what? So I was just like, what the fuck just happened? Like, how did I go from last time nobody knew who the hell I was to like a number of people in line knew who I was? It was pretty cool. It was a cool moment for me. So thank you very much. I don't know exactly what the women's tee and the t-shirts are going to look like, because again, if it's a short sleeve, then you're not going to have, you know, the devil's advocates along the arm. It may be just the logo up on a patch or on the back. I'm not sure exactly. So these are just, again, it's a preliminary mock-up by the screen printing. By the way, it will be screen printed. It won't just be like some kind of iron-on decal. It's going to be high-quality screen print. But they need to set the screen printing, and they need to know ideas about which ones I want. And so I'm trying to get that settled out now, because I literally have to place that order in a couple days so that I can have it done, because they're 4 weeks behind, and my CrimeCon convention is September 5th, 6th, and 7th. And I have to have a travel day because I'm going to drive to Aurora, Colorado instead of fly. So I'm going to be leaving days early. So I'm like, I need to have these things done by September 1st. And like, well, if you need them done by September 1st, you better show me the money. Show me the money. All right. Sorry. Just freaking Jerry Maguire. I love that freaking movie. Just watched it recently, and I'm all old. So I went back to the freaking Jerry Maguire. Anyway, show me the money. Ambassador Kwan, I'm going to get these things ordered. And if you want one, make sure to lick one. All right. What else do we got? I'll take that off the screen. Well, I'll leave it on. I don't think I have anything else I need to put. That's just something I guess I'll hold there for now. Facts over fiction. You like that phrase? Thank you so much. I was trying to look for something in this phrase. One of the other options we were going to do was the devil's in the details, or the devil's in the discovery. The devil's in the discovery. But somebody said, well, it's a cool phrase, but it might mislead people about something. So I was like, well, facts over feeling sounds pretty good. So I liked it. I'm glad that you like it. I'm not a marketing guy, so I'm glad that somebody likes it or loves it. You said you love it, not just like it, you love it, and I love it. Did you see the DOJ oppose giving aggravating factors they're using to justify the death penalty? I'm genuinely baffled how they can fight against something that basic. Cloud, are you talking about the Luigi Mangione case? Are you talking about the Luigi Mangione? Looks like another person loves the facts over feelings. That's awesome. I'm glad that I'm glad I hit the nail on the head with that one. I thought you guys would dig it. That's awesome. Perfect. So yeah, Cloud, I was wondering if you're talking about Luigi Mangione's case. I did see that the federal government responded to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania about that's what I heard. So I don't know if you're talking about that case. That's the part that confuses me, because the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is not actually talking about the death penalty. They just got gun charges. So I'm not sure if you were talking about that case. You did say yes, so I think you are talking about that case. So I'll have to, maybe I'm behind because I've been on Koberger so long, that the Department of Justice has responded to Karen Ignifalo's basic latest rant. That would make more sense, right? Because sorry, not even Karen Ignifalo. Sorry, Avi Moskowitz. So let me get you up to speed for about 5 minutes to finish this out with Luigi Mangione for those who are interested in that case. Recently, Avi Moskowitz, who's a specialist in the death penalty, made a good, strong argument. A little hard to read because he's not as flamboyant as Karen, I think, with his words. But Avi Moskowitz basically argued to put a very strict deadline on the federal government to explain how it is Luigi Mangione is only deserving of the death penalty and not 300 and something other people who were killed in New York last year. Why is Luigi Mangione such a dangerous person? And how are these aggravating circumstances really working? It sounds like the Department of Justice is still sticking by their aggravating circumstances. So that must be a response to Avi that I haven't seen. So hope that that makes sense to you. If you need me to clarify, I got about 3 minutes and I talk pretty fast. So chances are I can tell you in a short amount of time. So yeah, Cloud is talking about Avi's motion and they plan to oppose it. Of course they plan to oppose it. Of course they plan to oppose it. It doesn't matter. I will tell you this. I don't feel like I'm biased, but I may be. But I don't feel like I'm biased. Karen Ignifalo is a master at writing arguments. And she's basically begging the judge, for God's sake, 4 times they've already violated my client's constitutional rights. Would you mind, please, sir, obeying the fucking Constitution in this country? Would you mind? Just maybe obey the Constitution of this country and uphold the Constitution. I respectfully ask you. And every single time, there seems to be zero desire to care about constitutional rights. Nope. We got Luigi dead to rights. F them. We're going for it. And I don't know, appeals. we're just getting started. Even if they do convict him, appeal. And I don't think they're going to convict him of the death sentence. They might convict him, in my opinion, they might convict him of life in prison without the possibility of parole. I don't think they're getting the death penalty. But if they do, appeal. There's a million appeals because, again, every single step, 4 different clear violations of Luigi Mangione's constitutional rights. Eavesdropping on attorney-client privileged calls, lying about a subpoena that didn't exist and telling Aetna that you need to give me Luigi Mangione's private personal medical records between him and his doctor because otherwise you'll be held in contempt of court, which was a lie. There was no subpoena. There was no contempt of court. There was no court date for them to deal with. Hey, by the way, you can send me that shit that's illegal for me to ask you to send, and you can send it directly to me and bypass the courts. And just, anyways, it's hard to explain if you haven't been following the case. Constitutional violation after violation. And that's the district attorney. That's the assistant district attorney in New York, violating the law, lying about subpoenas. That guy should be fired and kicked out of the bar. He should lose his license to practice law. As a district attorney, him and his cohort should both lose their license, in my opinion. Possibly even go to jail. Is it going to happen? No, because it seems like we don't seem to care whether the laws are applicable if it's, unless you're the bad guy and it's a high profile case, then we'll apply the law to you. But it doesn't apply to us who are breaking the law to get you put away. That's one of my big rants. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm not super articulate today. Sometimes I'm pretty articulate. Today I'm not so articulate. I'm a little bit, my brain, it's been a lot of recordings. All right. Shelley likes facts over feelings. I'm so glad that hit home. I'm so glad that hit home. Thank you. So, a lot of you have been saying you really like the facts over feelings as a kind of a slogan for that design. Thank you so much. And again, if you guys want to get one of these, please like, subscribe the channel. I put out a community post. I don't know exactly how it works, but I put out a community post with this picture saying, if you want this, let me know. That's a great place to get your name in there and say, I'm interested. Again, you're not committed to anything. I'm not going to hold you to it. All I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, I think I got like 10 women's large t-shirts that I want. So print 10 of those. Actually, I've got 35 pieces that I'm ordering. So I have a 25 piece minimum, but I'm going to order 35. All it's going to do is going to give me a shot to say, I want to at least be able to cover you if you do want one. If you don't, I'll eventually hopefully sell it. Hopefully. I don't know. Maybe I'm an arrogant motherfucker and nobody wants to buy my merchandise, and that's okay. I'm mostly buying the merchandise for me. I'm taking an investment in myself. I believe in myself, and I've had some other people tell me I'm pretty positive they're going to buy some, and I feel strongly that they will. They're already supporters of the show. And so if you want to help out the channel and you're not embarrassed, if you're not embarrassed by putting my name out there as the old bastard who talks about people's constitutional rights, wear one of my jerseys, help me out, help me spread the love. That would be amazing. I would appreciate it so much. Jeremy Pearson thinks I'm going to sell them guaranteed. I hope so. Black women's medium sweatshirt. Here's the thing. I didn't quote a sweatshirt. I still have time to put a sweatshirt, not a hoodie, not a t-shirt. I can do a hat. I can do a sweatshirt. I can do a zip-up hoodie. I can do a regular hoodie. I liked this look. This is the look that I'm going to wear at the con, this black hoodie. That's what I'm going to wear there. Shit, I might change it to a zip-up hoodie myself because I kind of do like zippers. I didn't think about that at the time, but somebody said, can I get a zipper one? And I'm like, yeah, I think I can. It looks like they have that available. I just, it's a little bit more expensive than this one. I think it's like $8 more to get a zipper put on it. But anyways, sorry, I don't mean to make this a big sales pitch. What else? Hat would be great. Thank you very much. By the way, I bought a hat. I bought a hat from Etsy that had my logo on it. I've worn it a few times on camera, and it was not up to my quality standard. And I was like, I can't sell that. I can't sell that. It looks like an iron-on patch. And so that's why I went for screen printing. I was like, okay, what's the difference between screen printers and like people that just do like an iron-on patch kind of thing? And it seems like screen printing is a higher quality. You can wash it a lot more before it has any problems. It doesn't look as cheap. And so I went and I paid a little bit more money to get screen printing because that's what I would wear. So that's how I did that. If you want more designs, I do graphic design. Let me know. Yes, please. Ding, 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 ding. I would love it. I can't afford a graphics designer. I did this design using ChatGPT, honestly. I'm like, hey, design me a logo. Hey, I don't like this. I want this. And I kind of worked with it until I got a look that I liked. So that was my attempt. If you're a better graphics designer, and it sounds like you are, and you're willing to do some love for the channel, I would love for you to give me some ideas. I would love it. Love, 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 love that. Anything else? Anything else before? I'm already past an hour, so I think I'm going to wrap up. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Again, what do you guys think? I don't know. I'm not going to ask that question. I feel like when I watch a lot of other channels, here's the thing. I don't want to do the woe is me thing. That's not what I'm trying to do. But when I watch a lot of other channels, I see they have people in the hundreds in their rooms. I almost always have a little tiny room. So I don't know if I'm not doing the right kind of style. I'm not doing a good delivery. Am I just going up against big names at the time slot, and I should be like doing it at a completely different time? Whatever the case may be, what I'm doing isn't working. Like I'm not getting any better at lives. So I'm trying to decide where to spend my time and effort, because the long form videos are doing very, very well. The channel's growing very, very well. We got people who are interested in merch. That's going very well, but I'm just not hitting. I'm not hitting on the lives. So, and again, I just want to deliver good content, and I want to put my efforts where it is most appreciated. So let me know if you have ideas, things that I can do to improve. I'm always taking ideas to get better at the show. In the meantime, a lot of you have said I'm doing a lot of things right, so I'm super appreciative of that. And a lot of people really, really give me a pick-me-up, even when I feel like I'm a little down in the dumps, like I'm starting to doubt myself. You guys have given me a lot of pick-me-up. Thank you so much. On the end, let me remind you of a couple quick things. I follow 3 cases. My main website, by the way, is devilsadvocates.info. Every single Sunday, I put a list of what's on tap for the week with links to the lives that I'm still trying to decide if lives are something that's important to our show or not. And I cover Luigi Mangione, and that's going to be a huge case. It's going to be a huge case next year. I'm covering Long Island serial killer. I've got a special guest you will not want to miss. You need to be getting interested in the Long Island serial killer case. LISK is what a lot of people call it, L-I-S-K, Long Island serial killer. It was previously known as Gilgo 4, the Gilgo Beach murders. Those are common scenarios. But LISK is happening more often. Why? Because it was more than Gilgo Beach. Body parts were found all over Long Island, not just Gilgo Beach. And so it's now becoming the Long Island serial killer. Make sure you start boning yourself up on that. There's some great documentaries. Netflix has a great 3-part series called Gone Girls. I highly recommend it. Episode 2, by the way. Episode 1 of Gone Girls, a little boring. Episode 2, blow my ass away. And it will you too. Don't miss that. And so there you go. My 3 cases. Idaho 4, obviously we talked about that 90% of the time tonight. Luigi Mangione in New York, and Long Island serial killer. There's a lot of New York stuff going on. I'm going to try to go out to New York pretty soon, put my boots on the ground, and check things out over there. Thank you so much for the love. I appreciate everybody who's interested in merch. Again, let me know somehow, because I don't know how I'm going to get a collection of orders. But if you are interested, no commitment, let me know. I got a couple days before I got to put in an order, because they're 4 weeks behind on printing, and I got to have that in so I can get that done before the show. September 1st is my target to have all these things done. So let me know if you're interested, and we'll work it out. Have a good evening. Thank you, everybody. I love you, and it's been great. I'm living the dream. I am living the dream, and you guys are part of it. Thank you so much.